Welcome to Molly Mish. We're an American family of 5, traveling around the world since 2008. After 2 months exploring Ireland and the UK, we have arrived back on mainland Europe, just in time for our appointment to install our aftermarket fuel tank in France. Join us as we share with you our experience taking delivery and installing our 180-liter ACGB aluminum fuel tank. Good morning. We drove really far last night after we got off of the train, the Eurotunnel train. We made it all the way to the little town of Merville, Franceville, which is the place we were about 2 months ago, maybe 2.5 months ago. We stayed here for a couple of nights before we ferried over to Ireland, and it is here where I placed the order for the extended range fuel tank. We're only about 2.5 miles away from ACGB, who makes the tank. We're back here today because we're getting that tank installed. There's a garage, mechanic garage, about a mile away from ACGB and a couple miles away from where I am right now. And this morning we have an appointment at 11 o'clock to get the tank installed. That is partially the reason why we came back early. We could have pushed the install a little bit later, but it would have been at least a week, if not 10 days later. So we just figured we'd get this done sooner. That meant last night we drove almost 5 hours after we got off of the train to make it here. We didn't get here till closer to midnight. But the nice thing is we're really close. We got to sleep in a little bit this morning. So, but now we gotta go. We gotta get our vehicle over there. We're going to meet the person that we worked with from ACGB. He's going to meet us there, help us translate. Really nice of him to do that, because otherwise, I don't know where I would go get this installed. And I don't want to carry the tank with me inside the car for however long it takes until that happens. So, today's the day. Our contact at ACGB is Roland. He has been extremely helpful to us from the beginning. When we found out about ACGB's extended range fuel tanks, all we did was send an email to them using the contact info we found on their website. Within a couple of days, he had responded to us and answered all of the questions we had. Models, options, costs, timeline of delivery, the whole thing. The decision to buy this tank from them was pretty much made instantly. Especially when we found out that they were the supplier of some of the most popular aftermarket off-road sprinter shops in North America. Roland works regularly with these North American resellers and speaks great English, which made this all possible. Our French is pretty limited to ordering food and asking simple directions. Anything technical, we're completely hopeless. As ACGB only manufactures and sells the tanks, they don't actually do any installation. We were on our own to get it installed. So I asked Roland when I placed the order if he knew of any shop nearby that can do this kind of work. He made a phone call to Garage Leclerc a few kilometers away and even booked us an appointment. Not only did he book us an appointment, he actually offered to come with us on the day of the install and help translate. What a godsend he was for this entire process. We could not have been more thankful for all that he's done to help us. Now, you have to be aware that he did this not as part of his job at ACGB. He was simply doing this as a personal favor. I don't think he went the extra mile for us to get any kind of social media exposure either, because he was unaware that we would share any of this on the internet. Roland was just a generous and helpful guy, and we were really lucky to be able to work with him. The install took most of one day at Garage Leclerc. We arrived in the morning, and by their lunch break, the old tank was already out. The fuel sending unit was removed and reinstalled into the new tank, and the filler neck was modified and ready to go. The tank came with everything you need to install onto your sprinter van, complete with instructions. And in our case, the instructions were in French. Thank heavens again for Roland. Our unit is a 180-liter model, specifically built to fit a second-generation, 170-inch long wheelbase Sprinter. It is otherwise known as the 906 or the NCV3. With our van up on a lift in the shop, we were in a bit of a pickle when the shop took their lunch break. There were no places to walk to, and we couldn't find any restaurants who would deliver. Fortunately for us, there wasn't much left to do. By 3 p.m., our van was lowered and rolled back out of the garage and ready to hit the road again. As far as the van's ECU is concerned, it doesn't know that a new tank has been installed. It's using the same fuel sending unit and all of the existing sensors, so the fuel gauge worked just as before. The only thing that will need to be updated and calibrated at some point is how the ECU computes the distance to empty calculations. We will deal with that at some point down the road. So that was my experience getting the extended range fuel tank installed in France. There's a couple things I want to mention about our unique experience getting our tank installed. First, that is not a typical way to get this tank. Usually what happens for people who are in Europe, ACGB resells their tanks for the Sprinter vans through all the Mercedes dealerships. So most people would actually go to a Mercedes dealer to order, and probably the dealerships will install if it isn't installed from the factory. And second of all, some of you might ask, was it cheaper? Because these tanks are pretty expensive when bought from Agile Off-Road. And the answer is yes, it was significantly cheaper. Mostly because, it doesn't have to go all the way across the world. ACGB has to make some money, Agile has to make some money, Nomad Vans has to make some money. So that's why you're going to see the prices sold in North America very inflated. Now, at the same time, there are some new tanks available now. They are molded plastic tanks, kind of like the ones that you get from the factory, but bigger, versus these ACGB welded aluminum tanks. Which one is better? I don't really know. I'm happy with my ACGB tank. So, and I think what I ended up paying is about what you can get a aftermarket extended range plastic tank for in the US nowadays. The Sprinter van fuel tank business of ACGB is less than 5% of their entire business. So it's actually a very small percentage of what they do. So it's not a main focus for them. They do a lot of work for, like industrial commercial applications. Any kind of services that might need a custom welded aluminum tank. That's what they do. So that said, we are very happy with the process. I want to say thanks again to Roland for your help going through this whole thing. And I know that you went out of your way in several instances to help us. Roland even helped me through his father-in-law to find a place to source some heavy-duty bolts for some torsion bar issues I had in the van, that was totally done on his own time. In fact, he was at home, when I talked to him about this. So really great experience with ACGB specifically. Highly recommend this company. And if you guys are considering getting one of the tanks, go for it. They are absolutely great, as you can see in the video. They're beautifully made, and they should last a lifetime. I know this video is a little bit different than the ones that I've done before. Our other videos are more sort of travel vlogs, but this one I think kind of fits with what we've been doing, because I did talk about ordering this tank a couple of months ago in another video, so I felt it was better to kind of show you guys on this channel how all that worked out. Again, it was a very positive experience. If you guys have any questions about the tank, feel free to ask them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. Hope you enjoy this, and I'll see you guys in the next video.